Good people, good people, good people. Welcome to another edition of Commander's Wrap, where you get all your Commander's news in 15 minutes. I'm your host, Dr. Wonderful, Doctor of Writing, Professor of English, and avid Commanders fan, joined here by my co host, Kevin Bayne. We air every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern on YouTube and replay again at 10 a.m. on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Audible. How you doing today, Kevin?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. Ready for this game that's coming this afternoon, and so I'm hoping things will be a little bit better, a little bit
Yeah, we can
better.
only hope so, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about it here in our first segment, and like I said, it's not going to have the Commanders fans feeling um, any better as we recap the Commanders' embarrassing loss to the Atlanta Falcons. The final score was Washington 27 and Atlanta 34. Michael Penix Jr. having his best passing day, his best day as a professional with over 300 yards passing. Kevin, this was the second game that Jayden Daniels missed. And I will say that even without Jayden, with the exception of the Green Bay game, Washington has scored 21 points, as we were talking about previously in their other three games, meaning enough to win. As last year, the league average was 43 points per game, so 21.4 points per team. So while a lot of people believe our offense is lacking, and granted it's not clicking like it should be, it's been better than league average, even with Jayden Daniels out for 2 games. But Kevin, this defense. I'm quite sick of this lackluster defensive performances year in and year out from people who are supposed to know defense, from coaches to players or whatever. This has been the most consistent theme of of recent teams. Porous to no defense. Kevin, give us your thoughts on this embarrassing loss. Who or what is to blame? And can this defense even be fixed?
There's no way to try and sugarcoat it. They were just that bad. It's basically everyone back there, defensive side of the ball. I'm just going to call out a handful of names because if not, I'd be here until Christmas. Um, I don't know what's going on with Sandstro Lattimore. Sandstro, he did have a pick. His coverage wasn't very good. Some players we expect a bit more from, like Lattimore. We gave up a good bit to go get this guy. He's brought in to lock up some of these number one wide receivers. And I'm just seeing him constantly being beat. Not just this game, it's been other games as well. Drake London, he was getting open whenever he wanted to, with ease. It seemed like he's running right by him. Some of it was blown coverage, but a lot of it was, he's just getting beat by speed. And I get it. Lattimore's had some injuries in the past. He's getting older. He's slowing down a little bit. But I just, I don't know. I was seeing the entire secondary kind of getting beat like that as well. Um, I have no idea why Wagner. He's trying to cover anyone, let alone Bijan in the open flats. I mean, it's not Wagner's fault either. That's not what he does. Everybody knows that. It was clear what the Falcons were doing. For starters, this same defensive scheme had already been exploited by other teams. So Atlanta was ready. They were using a pre-snap motion with their wide receivers to manipulate our zone coverage, which also led to traffic and prevented any of our guys from giving Wagner some help. And next thing you know, the ball is snapped, and you have Wagner left alone running into the flat on a rail or wheel route, and he's
Hmm.
trying to cover Bijan.
Hmm.
And this will bring me to Joe Witt. Come on, man. What are you doing? I know you might not have the players to do certain things, but there was literally no adjustments made, and that can't happen. That was my biggest issue. Try something different. You can't have guys like Tucker Kraft have career days. 2 games later, as you mentioned, Penix has a career day. And again, the blame is on everyone. The defensive line, they're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. You make those cornerbacks' jobs twice as hard. You're allowing Penix all the time in the world. Stopping the run was an issue. I understand Bijan's a great running back. Between Bijan and Algier, I think they had about 130 yards rushing on the ground. I think they had 200 something receiving. Bijan and between Bijan and Drake London. Um, and it was no secret they were going to use Bijan. We knew that. We just looked unprepared. As far as can it be fixed? If you're asking, can it be lights out? Shut stuff completely down? I'm going to say no. I say that for multiple reasons. It's not only just overall talent, but I think we have some guys that were really solid in the prime of their career. But as we all know, with age, you get a bit slower. For what it's worth, across the roster, we actually have the oldest team in the league. We have 25 or 26 players who are 29 years of age or older. I'm not saying old definitely means bad. Young definitely means good. But when you're older and you're playing bad, it's going to get noticed and pointed out. And we did. We looked slow in that game. The entire defense looked slow. With that being said, I think it can be fixed. I think it can improve. Absolutely, it can. I think Whit needs to try some different scheme adjustments. I think you can improve by player utilization. There's a call for different personnel usage, rotating players, keeping guys fresh. Uh, I'd also agree with Quinn that he pointed out that there were some communication issues. So communication can get better, tackling can get better. And one pet peeve that I have is I see a player trying to lay someone out with a big hit versus just wrapping them up and tackling them. If you want to make that big hit, that's fine, but you better make it, because if you don't, it's like the worst thing ever. We can't have that, and we had a lot of missed tackles. But I think the absolute biggest thing I can do, or we can do, is I mentioned is the play calling, adjusting the defensive scheme, maybe allow for more targeted blitzes and man coverages. I mean, no harm in trying, right? Because clearly what's been going on hasn't been working. But yeah, time will tell.
Yeah, and two things. Tackling is generally very horrible in across the NFL the first month, and it's usually tied to the fact that you just don't get to do that much in the off season and training camp. You just really don't. But they gotta find a way. I don't even know if you need like some AI dummies or something
Yeah,
like that, where
right,
these
right.
guys really get to like, moving a little. What's that thing called? Air hockey, ski hockey. You know that thing that's in bars that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
people
yeah,
play. But
yeah,
this is kind of what I'm thinking. Like they got to find a way to actually tackle. You can't live tackle your teammates or humans, but maybe you can get some of these AI robots that are really because the tackling is terrible.
yeah,
And I will say this, that has been an issue for Luvu since last year. Like he's not the best tackler if you watch. Like, oh
yeah.
my God.
I agree. I agree.
Because he many times he wants to be an impact player. And you take that for what it's worth. My second thing, this is what irritates me about the defense, right? Like, I have worked at places where doing the most basic things were exceedingly hard to do, and I couldn't understand it. Like sending an email to get a form, and it never happens, and then you have to go walk around. And you're like, I don't know. Normally, everywhere else, if I send this email and I request this form, I just get it electronically. I'm using that metaphor because I am not trying to hear that we have trouble with pre snap motion like this is some new invention of NFL offenses.
Yeah,
Like, oh my God, motion is confused. Motion? Huh? Like that's infuriating to me. Okay,
yeah,
I know ball. That's elementary. And why people do motion is pretty elementary. Let me see if the defense is going to show what it's going to do. The fact that I hear that we can't handle motion is I just how don't we go 0-17?
yeah. And it was alarming. You can go back and you watch the film, and the motion it did, it had some. It was drawing our guys in different directions, and I'm like, oh my god, what are y'all doing, man? Like it was bad. It was so bad.
Yeah, and that's just something that's disciplining coaching. There are only so many motions.
Yeah,
Cliff motions himself. You practice against an offense that does a whole lot of motion. Just it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Honestly. So I'm with you, Kevin. That defense needs to get better. And I'm kind of leaning on your expertise during our losing times, because I'm a pretty functionless human being when we're not winning, because I'm just in a constant mood, and that mood is pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but thank God I'm in Mississippi, so I don't have to hear anybody talking bad stuff on my team. That's just the truth. But let's get to our next segment where we're going to recap some of the press conferences, because a couple of things that were said were a bit telling, I found. And then we'll get us ready for our road trip here against the Los Angeles Chargers this afternoon. Big news: Kevin came out Monday as DQ reported that Sam Cosmi is off the pup list and is
Yes.
practicing this week, and that's really great. News came out that he wasn't going to play in this game, and I don't think that would have been realistic that he would
Mm-hmm.
play in this game. He
Right.
needs a solid week or more of practice, but maybe the Bears game, and certainly if not that, I think we play Dallas after Chicago. I think so, but
Yep.
possibly after the Bears game. But even better news was that Jayden Daniels was medically cleared to practice, and he is a go for the game against the Chargers. That is huge. We do need Jayden Daniels, make
Oh
no
yeah.
mistake. So him coming back is great. All reports are he was really, really close to coming back last week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so this is just really good to hear that. However, on the opposite side of the injury news front, Noah Brown is still out. Terry McLaurin as well. They remain limited as they recover from their injuries. We signed some players. I think I forget. Was it Chosen? Robbie Chosen is someone
Yes,
who
who
we
used to
brought
go by
in.
Robbie Anderson, correct?
Right, right. We
Changed his
also,
name or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, I think we also brought in another defensive lineman. We also elevated Tay Martin, who did make a couple of catches in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we also elevated him from the practice squad. So that's kind of where the injury news is. And on Wednesday, Joe Witt, in his press conference, he said that the team needs to find its defensive rhythm and play as one. Specifically, he noted that it all comes down to communication and everyone doing their job. Witt said nobody has to put any capes on.
Yep.
And while Witt remained supportive of his guys, he admitted some got greedy in the game against the Falcons, and that greed cost us as a team. Kevin, lots of good things, happened this past week leading up to the game against the Chargers, right, with players coming back. But I'm going to tell you, I'm just not sure if I'm buying everything Witt is selling about our defensive woes
Yeah.
getting fixed, because he said something similar, after the Green Bay game, and every
Yep.
time something goes wrong, it starts to be the same thing. Yo, we need to communicate more, and we need to do this, and we need to
Yep.
do that. And he may not be wrong, but I'm an educator too. And after a while, if I keep telling you something and you're not doing it, something's got to change.
Yep.
Me or you. Me and how I'm telling you to do this, or you the problem. I mean, in something as this performance based, right? So I just don't know if I'm selling that. What do you think holistically, kind of listening to some of the things that Witt said? I know what you mentioned about scheme, but when listening to some of the things that he says about what's going wrong, having listened to him in the past, where are you with Joe Witt, his ability to correct it? Where are you at?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of with you when you say that. Like, it's kind of almost robotic, right? The answers that he's given. Um, like you said, you keep saying the same thing, but is anything actually being different being done about it? Um, I listened to it, and he did. One thing that I had a problem with, and this is just me. I felt like he was placing, like you said, he even used the term, we don't need guys with wearing capes out there. We don't need heroes. We just need you to do, and it just felt like to me that he was placing all the blame on the players, and he wasn't taking any accountability there for himself. And I think it was evident by just about anyone that really watched the game that you could tell, like, hey, yeah, it is on the players. There's no question about it. But some of it is on you, right? You're not making any adjustments. You're coming out there with the same damn fucking scheme over and over again. It's been exposed. You're not even switching guys. You're not even rotating guys in and out of the, like, what are you doing? And you know what? Quinn's got to be held a little bit responsible there too, because he oversees, right? He's the head coach. He's got to oversee Witt. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm on the fence with Witt. This is a tough matchup, and it's an away game going in, and I'm gonna be watching this defense closely. But I'm optimistic, and I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't think Witt was in the hot seat, because I think he is.
Well, here's what I think, and I'll say this just being a fan. We can get hot and bothered about things that we see. And we can want things to happen quickly when they need to happen a little bit more slowly. And what I mean is, I'm willing to accept that I may be a little too hot at Joe Witt and everybody else when I don't know the nuances of what is being called and what is going on. And I'm willing to say, hey, sometimes you just need to be patient and see how things work out. But certainly, I don't think you can have the same or a similar defensive performance across the entire year as you did last year and not feel like some changes would come in the off season,
Yeah.
because many of the things that may need to be addressed when it comes to player or personnel, we need a defensive end, we need to shut down corner, they're off-season questions. They're not just sitting there out there now. So I'm going to say I'm willing to give it the year, but I want to. We got to see something, right? We got to see something defensively, offensively as well, but definitely defensive. I'm just not ready to push the button just yet.
Right.
On wit,
Yeah. I agree. I agree too.
yeah,
I
but
agree.
but at some point in time, this is going to come down to, hey Dan, nobody wins in the NFL with a crap defense.
Yep.
Nobody.
Yep.
Nobody wins in the NFL or gets with bottom tier defenses. You're not going to be able to recreate a NFC championship run with another 18th, 19th ranked defense.
Right. Right.
Like it's not going to happen. We have to be a top 10 defense at least.
Agreed. And on a side note here, I'll also say Lattimore has got to stop with these penalties, because
Yes.
it's killing us. It really is. The penalties and the missed tackling. I think missed tackling, Quinn said we were in double digits. And I'm like, you know, those two things alone there, right? Missed tackling and then penalties. I mean, we can't afford to be doing those things.
No, doesn't work. Doesn't work. So, all right, you all our listeners, we will be back next week to give you a recap of the Commanders game against the Los Angeles Chargers. We always root for a win. We always hope for a win. I don't think you'll ever hear us predict a loss, even if we think it may happen. That's just not what this fan site does. So
Yeah.
we're hoping we get that win, Kevin, because
Yeah.
we need the win.
We're
So
gonna we're
for
gonna win. We're gonna go in there and we're gonna show them what's up. Jaden's back. It's go time.
Yeah, Jaden's back. It's go time. So for Kevin Bayne, this is Dr. Wonderful, Doctor of Writing, Professor of English, and avid Commanders fan. And this has been your latest episode of Commanders Wrap, where you get all your relevant Commanders news and a little opinion too in 15 minutes.